This is a photo podcast presented by me, Richard Crothers, about the making of the video No Show by Window Seats.
No Show.
Kojak.
We were thinking about this kind of rig that goes up and around the back of your arm and across your shoulders.
Brian Stewart.
He obviously had designed the doggy rig, and he would be the man using it so he could design it to his own proportions.
We were like, we're going to have to make this out of metal. But we're like, where will we find a bit of metal like that? And that's exactly what Jude turned up with one day. Well, me and Didsy had to skip a dreams. Jude had his neighbour's bin. And he turned up one day with a piece that was so perfect. It was like this big curtain rail thing. And it had these ends, and there's these perfect screw-on parts you could just take off and attach the camera tripod to. And then Tony had some of his like scout skills or something. He was 10 all these mad knots just to hold it all together.
20, 30 seconds at the very, very most, like was shot on the doggy camera rig, and it's just like something that like so small, took so much effort from so many people.
Stu isn't one for reflection.
We got the rig on, got the camera set up, and it was just all these reflections, and it's just, to me, like I just wanted to be flat, to get rid of all the shadows. We grabbed like blankets from Didsy's, and for the whole time, all three of us were under a blanket. Like I'm sure people around Didsy's area thought a maniac had just moved in. Like
Ricky McQuillan, fly-on-the-wall photographer.
It was really interesting, because we're going to get these running shots of, Kojak and Helen running through the streets, the chase scenes, because obviously it's not the kind of locations as well, big film companies are going to come along to, this is, so they're not used to people turning up with cameras. There's one old man who was asking me where he could see this, what TV station it was going to be on, but I kind of imagine he's only got 4 stations on his TV.
The area.
Gritty is probably the word I would use for it, a real gritty area. Obviously loads of graffiti and tagging.
Jonathan Beer.
They like to pimp out their new Window Seats logo. So they'd done these few graffiti panels that we were meant to put up everywhere we were shooting. And I think we managed to get it in shot once. Passes by so quickly you can't even see it.
Helen Murphy.
That's when we began the infamous Tony nearly running me over. The first take we did, I just ran in front of the car, completely petrified that I was actually going to be run over, and going, oh God, oh God. Stu popping his head out of the window going, you okay, Helen? I was like, yeah, I'm fine, just a bit freaked out. And he was like, right, okay, see you next time, run right in front of the car, like in front of the car. Tony will stop. And then you go, oh shit, I called Tony a wanker earlier on. He won't stop. But he stopped.
After a detailed risk assessment.
There's one shot where I convinced Stu to do a shot from the top of the car as a moving dolly.
I was sitting on the roof with the camera and tripod. Tony was driving. Didsy and John were holding one of my legs each.
Somewhere in between groping and holding on to Stu's legs.
And just to get this shot, and I think it turned out pretty well, because we were able to get up, get a nice speed and get in nice and close.
It was not particularly safe.
We actually realised that had Stu fallen, Didsy's holding his leg was probably a bad idea, because it probably would have meant that Stu pendulumed into the ground head first with camera. And I loved just the improvised nature of it again. Like, this obviously goes to certain levels, but with Window Seats, this involved somebody sitting with a very expensive camera on top of Tony's car. Tony obviously wasn't too keen on the idea at first, somebody sitting on his roof. I think he's quite precious about his Skoda. It's a great car, it is.
But it was obviously going to be all right, because Tony is quite a pensive driver, really, and he probably didn't drive any faster than 4 miles an hour.
Stu doesn't ever hit low points, but...
Again, what we ended up doing was I was sitting strapped into the passenger seat with the door open, and the guys were just kind of holding on to me, and I was getting the camera as low to the road as possible, and this is like, maybe 2 or 3 grand's worth of camera, dangling an inch above hard concrete, and Tony was, driving alongside Helen and Kojak.
Worm's eye view, there it is, what the worm sees, but yeah, a very fast worm, I'll have to say, is like chasing these people with a camera hanging out the window.
Lunchtime.
We had packed lunches with all our wee labels and all on the sandwiches, which was lovely. I think it was just great banter, just having everybody chipping in together, everybody having their wee lunches and just laughing about all the stuff that's going on. It was just hilarious.
That's when we saw Kojak start to lose it and trying to find something to wake himself up, telling him to eat apples. He had an apple going, yeah, that was totally it. After he'd had like 3 cups of coffee as well.
More shady goings on.
At one point, the light was strong, and they were doing a shot of the iPhone on the ground, sort of as if it had fallen and was rolling across the ground. And they actually had to cover around and get all the coats. Everybody had their coats off, and where they'd created this little improvised teepee of sorts around the camera and the iPhone just to try and get this one shot. And again, like, people are bemused by this.
I was on the ground with my legs spread, with the camera where my crotch is, you know, pointing as low as I can get to the ground without scratching the lens, and then trying to get the phone to slide into frame just exactly right.
And so Kojak had made this intricate, you know, this magnet that stuck on the bottom of the phone, and there was ball bearings inside it. And he'd used like 2 golden elf hairs or something, and was using them to pull this iPhone.
Like, it's just an example of, like, you think, right, a car with all this choreographed action is going to take ages, but it didn't. And then, like, a phone sliding across concrete, you think, oh, no bother, but it takes the longest time out of any of the shots.
Great organisation. Everything should have gone smoothly, but I mean, we could not get this shot at all.
Jude's precious iPhone was used and abused for the shot that never was.
We did throw his phone across the floor probably 20 or 30 times, so you should have a look at the back of it now. It's scratched to fuck.
Harley, I think, jumped on board at this point as well. A guy that came in to do a bit of acting. Everybody's improvised here.
Kojak slams into Harley as he's turning the corner, you know, and he was more than happy to take and retake again and just keep on letting Kojak slam into him. Like, and again, similar to the first incident with Helen, like, you know, where I was telling them, like, she's, you know, she can take it, like, just slam into her. And it was similar with Harley. It was like, just slam into him, you know, there's no acting, you know, it's just reaction, you know, just slam into him, like.
No shows.
Gradually, as the day went on, the hungover promises kind of gradually turned up towards the end. And I think the only time that day we had a full head count of crew was when we reached the Grapevine, where we were all given a free complimentary coffee. That must have been the only time every member of crew was there.
There's one scene where the guys are sitting in a coffee shop, and like we just run past them.
Yeah, we ended up in this coffee shop, great wee coffee shop down Pottinger Centre actually, called the Grapevine, and we met up there and we all got free coffees, which is great.
That's the one scene where I just realised this is exactly like the storyboard that Stu had shown me weeks ago. It actually looked, you know, like exactly like the scene he'd drawn. So I'm very impressed with how I was able to visualise it, and it all came together exactly his way he'd wanted it.
Got a few more shots down there, did a few more wee scenes just outside.
Just the last, after finishing the last shot, it was just like, what a nice little family we've created. All the hugs, all the kisses, all the love.
And it was Arthur's Day as well. I say St. Arthur's Day as if he's a saint. But yeah, it was the day where everybody was meant to drink Guinness.
That's the sweetest pint of Guinness anyone had ever drunk.
We all sort of went down to a bar afterwards, and that was really nice. So sort of all flicked through the photographs, had a pint of Guinness. It was great day.
We don't care about Arthur, we care about our aching thighs, which ached for 2 days afterwards as well. And it's something that Kojak and I will always be bonded by, aching thighs.